Let's begin our journey to the winter solstice, that quiet, ancient moment when our world tilts into its deepest darkness before slowly turning back toward the light. The winter solstice is a precise moment when one of Earth's poles is tilted farthest away from the sun, creating the shortest day and longest night of the year in that hemisphere. Imagine our planet, gently leaning, almost bowing away from the sun's warmth. This isn't a gradual change, but a specific instant in time, a cosmic pivot point that happens once each year in the northern hemisphere, where many of us experience it in December. The North Pole leans as far from the sun as it ever will at that exact moment. Somewhere around the world, the solstice arrives and then passes, quiet and unremarkable to most, yet profound in its meaning. This astronomical event is defined by Earth's 23.4-degree axial tilt, that permanent lean our planet maintains as it journeys around the sun. Picture Earth like a spinning top, tilted just slightly, never quite upright. When the sun appears directly over the Tropic of Capricorn in December, that invisible line of latitude at 23.4 degrees south, that's when the northern hemisphere experiences its winter solstice. The sun reaches its southernmost point in our sky, tracing its lowest, shortest arc across the horizon. Its rays arrive at their most oblique angle, spreading thin across the northern lands, offering the least warmth, the briefest visit, before setting early into the long night. The word solstice itself carries within it an ancient observation. It comes from the Latin solstitium, meaning sun standing still. For days before and after the solstice, the sun's path across the sky barely seems to change at all. If you were to mark the position of sunrise each morning or measure the sun's height at noon, you'd notice it hovering, pausing, as if gathering itself before beginning its slow journey back. The ancients noticed this, the celestial stillness, and gave a name that has lasted thousands of years. The sun stands still, waiting, before it reverses direction and begins its gradual climb back toward longer days. In the northern hemisphere, the winter solstice usually falls on December 21st or 22. Meanwhile, in the southern hemisphere, where seasons are reversed, their winter solstice occurs around June 20th or 21. While we in the north bundle against cold and darkness, those in the south experience the same cosmic moment. Just 6 months apart, the Earth still doesn't favor one hemisphere over the other. It simply is creating this elegant balance, this exchange of seasons, where one half sleeps while the other awakens. The exact date can shift slightly each year, December 20th, 21, or sometimes even 22, because Earth's orbit isn't perfectly circular, and our calendar only approximates the tropical year. A tropical year, the time it takes for the sun to return to the same position relative to Earth, is about 365.24 days. Our calendar tries to account for that extra quarter day with leap years, but the dance between our timekeeping and celestial mechanics means the solstice moment drifts slightly, arriving at different hours, sometimes pushing into a different calendar date altogether. It's a reminder that our human divisions of time, our neat squares on calendars, are just approximations of the cosmos's more fluid rhythms. Near the Arctic and Antarctic circles, those invisible boundaries at 66.5 degrees latitude, the solstice arrives during polar night. In these extreme regions, the sun does not rise at all, or only schemes the horizon briefly, creating continuous darkness or twilight that can last for weeks. Imagine living in that perpetual dim, where day and night lose their meaning, where time itself seems suspended. The solstice in these places isn't about the shortest day. It's about the depth of darkness, the waiting, the profound stillness of a world without Sunday. And yet, even there, people have found ways to live, to celebrate, to mark the turning of this wheel. After the winter solstice, daylight slowly begins to increase each day, perhaps only by a minute or two at first, barely noticeable, but growing. This is why so many cultures throughout history have seen the winter solstice as a symbol of rebirth, renewal, and the return of the sun. The darkest moment becomes a promise of light returning. In our ancestors' lives, when survival depended on the sun's warmth and the growing season it brought, this turning point was cause for hope, for celebration, for lighting fires in the darkness to encourage the sun's return. By astronomical convention, the winter solstice marks the official star winter, a season that lasts until the vernal equinox, when day and night become roughly equal again. This moment, this instant of maximum tilt, begins a season of cold and darkness, yet it's also the beginning of winter's slow retreat. From this point forward, every day brings a little more light, even as the cold deepens. Despite marking winter's beginning, the coldest weather often comes weeks later, sometimes not until January or February. This seems paradoxical at first, but the reason is elegant. Land and ocean continue releasing stored heat. Even as days grow longer, it takes time for the Earth to cool, for the deficit of sunlight to overcome the thermal inertia of our planet's massive systems. The lag between the solstice and the coldest days is a reminder that our world is complex, that cause and effect are separated by time, that winter's chill is an echo of darkness already past. Ancient societies tracked the solstice closely, building monuments aligned to the sun's movement. Great stones and earthworks positioned to catch the first rays of solstice dawn, or to frame the setting sun on this pivotal day. These weren't primitive peoples confused by the sky, but careful observers, mathematicians of stone and shadow, marking time, ensuring their connection to the cosmos remained strong. They knew, perhaps better than we do now, that humans are not separate from these grand cycles, but part of them, subject to them, and capable of celebrating them. And so, the winter solstice arrives, as it always has, as it always will, marking time, marking seasons, marking the eternal return of light from darkness. Humanity has always watched the sky and the winter solstice, perhaps more than any other celestial event, has called to us, invited us to bear witness, to build, to celebrate, to remember. At Newgrange in Ireland, there stands a passage tomb older than the pyramids, older than Stonehenge, built over 5,000 years ago. And here, something remarkable happens. The rising sun on the winter solstice shines down a narrow passage, threading through a specially designed roof box, traveling 60 feet into the darkness, illuminating the inner chamber for just a few minutes each year. Imagine the engineering, the patience, the generations of observation required to create such precision. Those ancient builders knew exactly where the sun would rise on this one morning, and they constructed their monument to capture that light, to bring it into the heart of stone and earth. Perhaps it was a temple, perhaps a tomb, perhaps both. But on that one morning each year, the darkness inside is pierced by golden light, and the connection between the living, the dead, and the cosmos is made visible, tangible, sacred. Stonehenge in England, that circle of massive standing stones on Salisbury Plain, is also aligned to the solstice. Though many focus on its summer solstice alignment, the winter solstice holds its own magic there. People still gather at Stonehenge today, thousands of them arriving in the cold and dark, waiting together. When the sun rises, if the clouds permit, it aligns perfectly with the stones, just as it did 4,500 years ago. The same light, the same angle, the same ancient promise. Those who stand there, shivering in the December dawn, are participating in something older than nations, older than most religions, a human impulse to mark the turning of a year, to stand together in the darkness and wait for light. In ancient Europe, the solstice was intimately linked to festivals celebrating the death and rebirth of a sun god. Different cultures told different versions, but the theme remained constant. The sun grows weak, reaches its lowest point, seems to die, and then miraculously begins its return. These ancient patterns of myth, death and rebirth, darkness and light, would later influence midwinter religious holidays that came centuries after. The timing wasn't coincidental. When new traditions arrived, they often folded themselves into the old ones, adopting the same dates, the same symbols, the same human need to celebrate light in the depths of winter. The Romans celebrated Saturnalia, a festival held around the solstice in honor of Saturn, the god of agriculture and time. For several days, normal social order was suspended. Masters might serve their slaves. Gifts were exchanged. Feasting filled the streets. Candles and lamps were lit everywhere to drive back the darkness. People wore colorful clothes instead of togas. Gambling was permitted, and the whole city seemed to turn upside down. These customs, the gift-giving, the feasting, the temporary suspension of hierarchy, the lights and the darkness, they echo still in our modern winter celebrations. The details have changed, but the spirit, That impulse to create joy and abundance in the darkest time remains. In Northern Europe, Yule traditions mark the solstice with their own particular magic. The Yule log, a massive piece of wood, was brought into the home and set to burn on the hearth, sometimes kept smoldering for all 12 days of the celebration. The log's warmth and light symbolized the sun itself, invited into the home. The ashes were kept for protection, sometimes spread on fields for fertility. Evergreen boughs, holly and ivy and mistletoe were hung in homes, a reminder that life persists even in winter's grip, that green things survive, that spring will come again. Feasting brought people together, and storytelling filled the long nights, passing down history and myth, keeping culture alive through the darkness. All of this was done to celebrate the sun's rebirth, to participate in its return, to ensure that light would indeed come back to the world. In ancient Persia, now Iran, people observed Shab-i Yalda, the celebration of the longest night. Families and friends would gather together, staying awake all night long, telling stories, reading poetry, especially the verses of Hafez, eating and laughing together until dawn. Red fruits held special significance. Pomegranates and watermelons saved from summer, their colors symbolizing the crimson of sunrise, their juice like the promise of warmth returning. These fruits were shared as symbols of protection against the darkness, against the cold, against all that winter brings. This tradition continues today, thousands of years later. Families still gather on the longest night, still reading poetry, still eating pomegranates, still choosing to meet darkness with light, cold with warmth, solitude with togetherness. In China, the Dongji festival celebrates the winter solstice as one of the most important times of the year. The name itself means winter's extreme, the peak of winter's cold and darkness. Families reunite, traveling great distances to be together, much like Western Thanksgiving or Christmas. Traditional foods vary by region, but often include tang yuan, sweet rice balls and soup, or dumplings, jiaozi. These round foods symbolize reunion and completeness. The shared meal brings warmth, not just to the body, but to the heart. It's a time to honor ancestors, to reflect on the year passing, to gather close with loved ones as the world outside grows cold. One charming Dongji legend, passed down through generations, says that eating dumplings on the winter solstice protects your ears from frostbite. The story goes that a doctor named Zhang Zhongjing, seeing poor people suffering in the cold, created dumplings filled with warming herbs and lamb. Their shape, folded and pinched, resembled ears. He gave them to those in need, and they stayed warm through the winter. So even today, people eat dumplings on Dongji, playfully saying they need to protect their ears, to keep their ears from freezing. It's a story that blends medicine and myth, practical care and cultural memory, a reminder that traditions often begin with simple kindness. For the Hopi people of the American Southwest, the winter solstice is marked by the soil ceremony, a profound spiritual observance. The ceremony welcomes back the sun, inviting it to return and bring life to the world once more. It also marks the return of the Kachina spirits, sacred beings who dwell with the people for half the year. The ceremony involves prayers, dances, ritual purification, and blessings for the entire community. It's a time of renewal, of setting intentions, of strengthening bonds between people and between humanity and the sacred. The soil reminds us that the solstice isn't just an astronomical event. It's a spiritual threshold, a moment when the ordinary world and the sacred world draw close. Across Northern Europe and the British Isles, bonfires and torches once blazed on hilltops during the solstice night. Great fires, visible for miles, punctuating the darkness. These weren't just for warmth or light, though they provided both. They were symbolic, sympathetic magic. Fires on earth calling to the fire in the sky. The flames drove back darkness, warded off evil spirits said to be strongest in a long night, and called the sun home. People would gather around these fires, sharing food and drink, telling stories, singing. The next morning, they might carry embers home, to relight their own hearths, to bring the blessing of the solstice fire into each dwelling. Fire, humanity's oldest tool, our first victory over darkness, has always been central to how we mark this darkest moment of the year. across cultures and centuries, separated by oceans and mountains and vast stretches of time. People looked up at the same sky, noticed the same lengthening shadows, felt the same cold, and responded with celebration. The winter solstice has marked not just the darkest night, but the promise that light always returns. That promise, made by the cosmos itself, seems to answer something deep in the human spirit. We are creatures who need hope, who need to believe that difficulty is temporary, that darkness gives way to dawn. And here, in the winter solstice, the universe itself demonstrates this truth. The sun does return. Light does grow. Winter, no matter how harsh, eventually yields to spring. Our ancestors knew this, built monuments to it, created ceremonies around it, told stories about it, and passed those stories down to us. And now, thousands of years later, we still gather, still light candles in the darkness, still celebrate the turning of the year, still trust in the return of light. The solstice is a gift, a recurring promise, written in the motion of planets, carved into the path of Earth around sun. It tells us that the cosmos is reliable, that patterns hold, that even in deepest darkness, light is already on its way back.